the straw that broke the camel's back was the mysterious events of 9/11 2012. The murder of Christopher Stevens and 3 other U.S. personnel caused an outcry. After the public couldn't find out why there was a military stand-down, and the talking points were on a vague connection to a YouTube video.
A simple phone call to these individuals, I think, would have ascertained immediately that there was no protest prior to this. I mean, this attack started at 9:40 p.m. Benghazi time, and it was an assault. And I appreciate the fact that you called it an assault. But, I mean, I'm going back to then Ambassador Rice, 5 days later, going to the Sunday shows, what I would say purposefully misleading the American public.
I just want to say that, people have accused Ambassador Rice and the administration of, misleading Americans. I can say, trying to be in the middle of this and understanding what was going on, nothing could be further from the truth.
Madam Secretary, do you disagree with me that a simple phone call to those evacuees to determine what happened would have ascertained immediately that there was no protest? I mean, that was a piece of information that could have been easily obtained.
Well, but Senator,
within hours, if not days.
Senator,
No. Again, we were misled that there were supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that, and that was easily ascertained that was not the fact.
But there's a reason to believe that there was much more to the death of Ambassador Stevens.
Here's what we know. They ordered a stand down for more than 6 hours. They lied and said there was no surveillance of it. There was 2 Predator drones and a C-130. They lied and said they couldn't get them help for many hours. The truth was they had people 30 minutes away. The truth is they had large contingencies of commandos, CIA, and others. Thousands of U.S. personnel in the city of Benghazi, hundreds of them combat ready. And they were ordered to stand down. The security services knew where everyone was going and were tracking their cell phones and even stopped vehicles that were fleeing. Do people forget this? And we know that there were missiles there, heat-seeking missiles and other high-tech weapons in a complex behind the safe house. We know that the one of the top ministers, the foreign minister of Turkey, was there at the meeting hours before it happens. So they're at a safe house by a bunch of warehouses. The Turkish ambassador shows up. He's with the U.S. ambassador to Libya. Ambassador Chris Stevens. Here comes hundreds of the security service with inside knowledge of how the State Department, CIA, Navy SEAL security is working. They attack the facility. 2 Navy SEALs from down the road refuse to follow stand-down orders, run down and attack them from behind. So it goes from an hour operation to a 6+ hour operation, giving everybody time in CENTCOM to sit there on the aircraft carriers and at the NATO bases on the mainland in Italy to watch everyone die. Reportedly, they watched more than 5 hours of them dying. Because those drones can loiter for more than 12 hours. They're just sitting there, bzzz, flying in circles, watching it all in high def. And that's why this is such a scandal, because there were situation rooms at the Pentagon, situation rooms in NATO, situation rooms everywhere, watching this go on for hour after hour after hour after hour after hour, with just dozens and dozens and dozens. I mean, some say hundreds of the combatants being killed, getting madder and madder as they're run in trying to kill them. Only 6 security people inside fighting them off. And so they get mad and bring in anti-aircraft guns and point them down at the ground and start shooting to kill everybody inside. And they were reportedly cursing Obama and stuff while they did it because they'd been sent in to kill him, and then it wasn't a piece of cake like they thought.
But who was leading the charge in Libya among the jihadist rebels? Turns out it was a former Guantanamo prisoner who we were more than happy to not only turn loose, but also support in the overthrow of Gaddafi. All this trouble to overthrow a dictator, yes, despite the fact he had restored relations with everyone around him. The U.S. itself had actually made some inroads with Gaddafi and Assad after 9/11, as we went about trying to track down Al-Qaeda in our world war on terrorism. Gaddafi and Assad have long represented more secular tendencies, as they've always suppressed any Islamic religious fervor under their rules. Libya had the highest standard of living of any country in Africa according to the UN's Human Development Index rankings for 2010, a year before the revolution. Not only that, the Libyan dictator was pooling together interest for a new North African gold-backed currency. As you'll see in more reports to come, there's a pattern of assassination and overthrow whenever leaders want to leave the central banking system.